Okay class, so up till now we discussed about the natural disasters. Now we will discuss about the man-made disasters, which the man caused himself. Okay, the disasters which the man caused to himself. These are the disasters which do not occur because of some natural phenomena such as the movement of tectonic plates or emergence of magma from the vent of the volcano. These types of disasters started happening because of human error or human mistake. These types of disasters happen because of the human error or human mistake, or they can also happen deliberately when people try to harm each other. They can also happen deliberately. People can deliberately try to harm each other and do violence. So these are the man-made disasters. The first one is the nuclear disaster. What is a nuclear disaster? It is the development and use of nuclear bombs. It is the development and use of nuclear bombs. What are the nuclear bombs? What are some examples of nuclear bombs? Some examples of nuclear bombs are the hydrogen bomb and the atom bomb. These are some examples of nuclear bombs. And the thing about nuclear bombs is that they cause mass destruction. The destruction which is caused because of these nuclear bombs is on a mass scale. The whole cities, even the whole countries can be wiped out because of a nuclear disaster, because of a nuclear bombing or a leak in the nuclear industry from the plants. If some nuclear substance, some toxic substance gets leaked from the factories, from the industries, from the containers, it can be spread throughout the city or the country in a very short period of time, and it can consume the whole city. It can cover the whole city with toxic substances in the air. Toxic substances in the air can reach throughout the city or the country and cause mass destruction to human life. One such example of nuclear disaster is the bombing at the cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in Japan. You know, there were two bombs which were dropped at the cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in Japan in the Second World War. So what were the names of these bombs? These were named as Little Boy and Fat Man. Little Boy was dropped at the city of Hiroshima and Fat Boy was dropped at the city of Nagasaki, and both the cities are there in Japan. It is a very, very important event in the history because these bombs caused very huge destruction to the cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in Japan during the Second World War. About 90% of the city was wiped out because of the bomb which was dropped in Hiroshima by the name of Little Boy. Little Boy caused 90% of the city to be wiped out, and Fat Man caused 1/3 of the city to be wiped out in Nagasaki. In Nagasaki, Fat Man caused 1/3 of the city to be wiped out. Then another important nuclear disaster which happened was in the country of Ukraine. Earlier, Ukraine was part of USSR, and now it is a separate country by the name Ukraine. And there happened a nuclear disaster by the name Chernobyl nuclear disaster. Chernobyl nuclear disaster is one of the most remembered nuclear disasters in the history, and it caused the whole area of Chernobyl to be wiped out, to be covered in the toxic substance, and the human lives were lost because of this nuclear disaster. Some parts of the Chernobyl are still so much radioactive that the people cannot live in that area, even the animals cannot survive in that area. The area is so much radioactive such that no life can survive in that area. This is how much destruction can an atomic bomb, a nuclear disaster can cause. Then the next one is the chemical disaster. Do you know what is a chemical disaster? It is the irresponsible handling of chemical and the leaking of chemical substances. Irresponsible handling of chemicals and leakage of substances which are toxic in nature into the river bodies, into the lands, which cause a chemical disaster. The chemicals which are leaked from the industries into the water bodies or which are dumped into the lands can seep down from the land into the ground level water, and the water can then come into the taps. So then can consume that toxic water which has chemical in it. So it causes a chemical disaster, irresponsible handling of chemical, because the chemical was dumped in a water body, because the chemical got leaked into the land, because it was dumped into the land, it got into the groundwater level, and it caused mass destruction in the form of chemical disaster. Industrial accidents are also examples of chemical disaster. Then the third one is the biological disaster. Do you know what is a biological disaster? It is the release of germs. It is the release of germs or other biological substances. Other biological substances causes biological disaster. When a certain type of microorganism or a germ is released into the environment, for example, coronavirus or COVID, it was released from the city of Wuhan in China. So it is an example of biological disaster, and it reaches different parts of the country and different parts of the world and cause untreatable illnesses. It causes diseases which take a lot of time for the cure to be discovered. For the discovery of the cure of the disease, it takes a lot of time when a biological disaster happens. The fourth one is terrorist attack. When the people cause the destruction of human life, when the people cause destruction of human life because of their deliberate actions, when they knowingly try to harm the people, when they knowingly try to harm the people with the use of firearms, with guns, with knives, it is called a terrorist attack. It is an act of violence. Violence happens in the terrorist attacks. People are involved in violent activities. It is called a terrorist attack. When people deliberately or knowingly try to hurt each other with the use of firearms or any object that can cause harm to the people, it is an act of violence or a terrorist attack. Then the fifth one is accident. What is accident? An accident is a road, rail or water accident which we see in our daily lives. As we can see that there are many road accidents which are happening, and we also see that many trains get derailed from the tracks. And we also see that some ships get collided with the icebergs or the glaciers, for example Titanic. And we also see many different types of accidents in our daily lives. It is called an accident. So with this the chapter is now completed. Thank you.